All right, guys, welcome back to another video. If it's your first time here, or as I see in my analytics, if a lot of people are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button as I do make daily gaming news videos. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about some Xbox stuff here to start off. As we know, last week we got the business update. We also got a look at an internal memo that went around to employees of Xbox about Xbox everywhere and describing how they want every screen to be an Xbox. And one of the things that I think will really help push that vision forward and make the Xbox ecosystem better than it currently is the ability to actually access your purchase titles outside of the console that you purchased it on, or the Microsoft Store on PC or whatever that you purchased it on. And one way they can do that, at least right now, would be adding all of these games into xCloud, into the Xbox Cloud Gaming feature. So when you load up your Xbox Game Pass app or your Xbox app on your phone and you jump into cloud gaming, you should be able to have access to all of the games that you have in your purchase library. And Xbox has been talking about bringing that over to the Xbox ecosystem. And it looks like it's going to be coming in 2024. This is a screenshot that has been going around, and it has been verified that it truly is from Phil Spencer. In fact, we have Windows Central here actually verifying it as well. It says here on the Windows Central article, a chat between Xbox lead Phil Spencer and an Xbox user named Nasberg that we have verified to be real, suggests that Microsoft is expecting this year to launch the cloud feature. And this is the conversation. Somebody just sent Phil Spencer a message through Xbox saying, "Hey, Phil, any word or update on being able to play my owned games on xCloud and P3?" Phil Spencer at Xbox says should be this year. Then he responds, "Thanks, man. Have a great night." And Phil responds back, "You too." So this is pretty awesome in a couple ways. First of all, I mean, a lot of people over the last 2 weeks or so have been speaking up, that saying maybe it's not actually good that Phil Spencer and the leadership team interact with the fans as much as they do. Because if you look at PlayStation and you look at Xbox, the difference between them two, especially when there's big rumors going around, is that the Xbox fans are expecting Xbox to come out and address them and to communicate directly with the fan base, because they are so involved in social media. They're so out there with replying to fans, and you see stuff like this actually replying to an Xbox message. I never thought in a million years Phil Spencer would actually reply to something about their business venture going forward in terms of bringing more games to xCloud, but he did. And you look at that, and it's so different than when you see the PlayStation side of things, where the leaders really aren't on social media, or at least the heads, like Jim Ryan wasn't on social media, didn't really ever interact with the fans. People just didn't expect PlayStation or Jim Ryan to ever really respond, because he just never did. There was never that social media relationship that they had built. But I think this is actually pretty cool that they go out of their way to give these responses when they can. Obviously, he probably gets hundreds, thousands of messages all the time, but sometimes we'll respond and give us some information about the future of Xbox on a feature that a lot of people are waiting for. So I can't wait for this to happen. Well, hopefully it does come true, and by the end of 2024, we will be able to access our paid library via xCloud on the devices where xCloud and Xbox Cloud Gaming is available. People still call it, I think xCloud is a cooler name than Xbox Cloud Gaming, but that is what they launched at, and then they changed it over to Xbox Cloud Gaming. Now, when it comes to Diablo 4 and it not being available on Xbox Cloud Gaming, this is something that is looking like is going to occur. And Jez Corden commented on this, because there's a lot of weird stuff with the ABK deal that we have to keep in mind whenever games do get launched into Game Pass and whenever games are coming out onto Xbox, because of the deal that was made with the UK CMA to kind of rework the cloud gaming side of things, as that was one of their major pushbacks when they decided to block the deal. We know that they gave streaming rights over to Ubisoft, who has the rights to distribute the ABK games going forward to whatever services that they want. So Diablo 4, we know, is coming. I believe March 28th is the date to Xbox Game Pass for the Ultimate tier. But it looks like it's not available in Xbox Cloud Gaming. And Jez has this to say. Says, some people ask me, Diablo 4 is coming to Xbox and PC Game Pass, but it will not be available on Xbox Cloud Gaming. This is a consequence of the UK CMA ruling that Ubisoft owns the rights to ABK games on the cloud. From what I hear, Microsoft is working with Ubi on getting D4 into xCloud and others. He says, lots of people saying, haha, I'm glad I'm not in the U. But the UK isn't in the EU, as we know. There was the whole Brexit thing, and then the ruling applies worldwide apparently. And he says, I'm going to double check that the situation is with the European Economic Area version of Diablo 4 on cloud streaming services. Bear with me. So this is an interesting one to keep a track of as more games do get launched into Xbox Game Pass, and seeing where Ubisoft decides to distribute these games via the cloud services, because there's people in the comments that are celebrating that they're in the EU, but like Jess says in this tweet that it most likely or apparently does apply worldwide, and I have a feeling that it does apply worldwide. So it looks like if that is the case and they don't work something out here, Ubisoft working with Xbox to get these games into xCloud, it may not be available on cloud gaming, but it will still be there into Xbox Game Pass. But obviously it will be a developing story as more games from ABK as well launch into the Xbox Game Pass servers. All right, let's talk about Helldivers 2, because Helldivers 2 is a massive success, and this is a great thing in my opinion. This is such a big success because it shows us a couple of things. Well, first of all, we'll talk about what the success is. It's reached over 300,000 concurrent players on PC. It actually got so big to a point the servers now just aren't working because there's too many people playing, so people aren't actually able to get into the game for Helldivers 2. So it says here, Helldivers 2 reached 333,827 concurrent PC players on Saturday, according to the Steam database. And that's just PC. Obviously, that's not including the players on the PlayStation 5. It says the peak player count of all other PlayStation titles combined is 300,000. So Helldivers 2 is the biggest PlayStation game by a mile from a PC perspective for concurrent players, and this is a game that they launched day and date into Xbox Game Pass. So why this is such a good thing, I think, is because I believe this is going to signal PlayStation to be releasing more of their games multi-platform into the PC day and date at the same time as they do release it onto PlayStation 5. They're seeing numbers like this, and I understand this is a multiplayer game, but any sort of common sense would show that because PlayStation games are as popular as they are, their single player games would have these huge numbers as well if they were to launch it day one onto PC at the same time as they do launch it into PlayStation. So this is great, and hopefully that does mean that there will be more access from PlayStation coming sooner rather than later. We heard Hiroki Totoki talk about wanting to be more aggressive with their multi-platform strategy. It all lines up with Helldivers 2 doing extremely well. They have data now to prove that that is a very good strategy going forward if they want to grow and they want to reach more people and bring in more revenue, as their margins are not what they are wanting it to be. They need to increase those margins. So I think going forward, we will be seeing this, something that has been the writing on the wall now for a very long time. And Xbox started with it. Now PlayStation is starting to pivot, or they have pivoted, and this is better for everybody. More access, be able to choose where you want to play these games more so than it being locked just to a singular console and a single device. All right, let's jump over here and talk about something kind of related to Helldivers, and that is, what could a Halo game have been if it were to have many different styles of games? There's some similar to what Helldivers is, specifically with the ODST Halo games. If you remember, Halo 3 ODST was a far different game than the other Halo games with like the investigations and stuff, and you weren't playing as Master Chief. I actually did enjoy the game, and I could see them taking those characters and taking the ODST subgenre of Halo and just kind of breaking it out to a bunch of different styles of games. That obviously never did happen, but it looks like we could have, as we have a quote here from 343 Industries former senior game designer Kevin Schmidt saying, "We must have pitched 20 to 30 game ideas over the 12 years I was there that would have totally worked in the Halo universe. Many single player and multiplayer ODST theme ones, some galaxy spanning, some more intimate, and one that was really dark." So what could have been and what can be? I mean, they can still go out there and make a game like this. Maybe with Helldivers doing so well, this will inspire 343 to make a side project here of a multiplayer co-op game similar to that, with the shooting mechanics of Halo, which I think are some of the best, if not the best, in the FPS genre. Maybe it'll be first person shooter, or you have the option to switch between first and third person shooter. There's so many things that they could do within the Halo universe. I think it would be a no-brainer, especially with the success that Helldivers has been. And you know that people would be very interested in jumping in and playing it. I mean, you go through the comments of this quote on social media and people are just wanting to see what could happen if they were to dive into another style of Halo game with the ODST theme. If you're a fan of Mandalorian, if you're a fan of Respawn as well, I think Respawn is an incredible developer. Everything that they have made has been very, very good, from Apex Legends to the Star Wars Jedi series. They're one of my favorites, if not my favorite developer within EA. And there's a rumor now going around that they are actually going to be making a first-person Star Wars Mandalorian game. This comes via Insider Gaming, saying that sources have revealed that Respawn Entertainment is developing a first-person Star Wars Mandalorian game that is in its early stages of development. They say, as first reported by VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb, the game was being led by Respawn creative director Mohammed Alavi, who left the studio to pursue his next adventure. Now, there is an update to this, as Insider Gaming is saying that sources have since revealed that Alavi was not directing this game and instead was directing a canceled Apex Legend game, which was first reported by Bloomberg. But that doesn't say that this game isn't being developed. They still believe it is being developed, where you're going to be obviously taking control of the Mandalorian bounty hunter, and it will be set during the time when the Galactic Empire is dominating across the galaxy. It's your job as a bounty hunter to capture bounties, dead or alive, for cash rewards. I mean, that's a pretty straightforward description. They say the game's high mobility has been made possible storytelling wise thanks to the Mandalorian's jetpack, which allows the players to perform horizontal dashing, vertical jumping, boost sliding, somewhat similar to what we see within Apex Legends when you're going down hills, and then more. And they say it's a very fast-paced game. I mean, I like fast-paced games. Those are probably the ones that I have the most fun when it comes to gameplay. So I'm happy to see that. And there's going to be many different things, obviously, that you can include here with all of the different things that the Mandalorian can do, the grapple, all that stuff, rockets. Like, it'll be a very fun game, I think, especially coming from Respawn and their pedigree. Now, the question here, though, is this, should this have been a third-person game? We've seen them do both. They do both extremely well. I feel like a lot of people are going to read this, hear this, that it is a first-person game, and would have rather this be a third-person and be able to see the Mandalorian as you play through. It's kind of similar to the sentiment that some people had with Indiana Jones, that they wanted it to be third person, but I think after Indiana Jones was shown off as first person with some third person elements mixed in, I mean, I didn't care. I thought it looked incredible as first person, and I'll definitely withhold my judgment on this as well until we see an official confirmation and some official gameplay on how Respawn is going to be making this game. I fully trust them to do a good job, so we'll see how it all does end up turning out. Let's talk about Capcom, because Capcom is, I think, now going to be releasing more $70 games. They have been one of the developers and publishers within the industry that has not been putting all their games out for $70. And Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming out. It looks like that is going to be the one that kicks it all off for Capcom on releasing more expensive games. It says here, in a newly published English translation of its latest earnings Q&A session, the company said it was considering reviewing its software pricing strategy following the game's release next month, with other companies increasingly pricing at $70. The Resident Evil Monster Hunter maker was asked to detail its pricing policy for its next fiscal year, which begins in April. Dragon's Dogma 2, and this is what they say. Dragon's Dogma 2, which is scheduled for release this fiscal year, will be priced at $70. Industry-wide development costs are rising, and we are considering a price review as one option. Ultimately, we intend to take a thoughtful approach in pricing our games while ascertaining user feedback. And Capcom has been one of those publishers that you have to sit back and say are the golden example of one of the best in the business, that you would hope every publisher kind of falls in line with, releasing incredible games, not gouging their customer base. They didn't rush to raise the prices, the extra $10 that we did see from many other publishers out there. But the reality of the situation is, as gamers, as consumers, we have proven to the industry that we are willing to pay for $70 games. As many games come out $70, people buy them day one, they sell millions and millions of copies. So we're going to see the price raises. Maybe we see even more price raises in the future as more people are spending at 70, maybe as development costs are going up, especially if they close off ecosystems where they can control pricing. That's a chance for people to actually raise prices, which was one of the biggest fears here when there is no competition. But we will see what happens as the digital era comes. There's more control over the pricing, less control how people can go out and buy used copies and things like that. But $70 is now the standard, and we'll see if that does eventually raise up to $75 or $80 in the future. And finally, let's end off talking about some Nintendo Switch Two news. So all of the rumors circulating around the Nintendo Switch 2 was that this console was finally going to be coming out in 2024. There was going to be an announcement early this year, maybe even in the next couple of weeks, and it was going to be a holiday 2024 release. And it looks like now that may not be the case, as some more sources have suggested that Nintendo's next console, the Switch 2, the Super Switch, whatever it's going to be called, is going to be now releasing in 2025. So this here says that according to Brazilian journalist Pedro Henrique Lutilipe, I don't know if I've said that correctly, but that's the name, claims in a new OX do Control video that received new information from 5 separate sources. And according to these sources, they are also working on games targeting Q1 2025 to launch alongside the console itself, which has internally slipped out of a previous 2024 target. Now, there's a bunch of updates here. In fact, it says that one publishing source suggested that the delay was so that Nintendo could prepare a stronger first-party software lineup for the console. It's possible that the next-gen Nintendo console will now follow a similar timeline to the Switch. When that came out in 2017, it was announced the previous year, and then it launched in March the next year. Eurogamer is also corroborating the Switch 2 is set for Q1 2025, and Bloomberg as well is corroborating this. So it looks like a bunch of sources have some information that is being all corroborated by other bigger websites that the Switch 2 will be releasing in 2025. And I mean, that's perfectly okay if they are releasing it with a better launch lineup than if they were supposed to be releasing it at the end of 2024. Specifically thinking about a game like Metroid Prime 4 that I don't know what's going on with that game anymore. Is this game ever going to actually come out? It's one that they showed off a long time ago, and I've lost kind of hope, but I'm sure it's going to make its way out. But maybe they are waiting here for the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm pretty excited for this to see how they improve on the current Switch with changes they do make. I don't think it's going to be just a huge drastic change to the console itself. Obviously, we'll have more power and better performance, but what other things are they going to do to improve the overall experience for the Nintendo Switch 2, which looking like now it is set to launch at the beginning of 2025. But I will end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.